Thank you very much. I don't think I should do this to Yasha Heifetz. I believe in live and let live. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm thrilled beyond words. I'm very happy that you've come here tonight. I think I see some familiar faces. Would you put up the lights, please? I'd like to get a better look at the audience. Take them off. I've seen enough. I only wish my grandmother could have been here tonight, because when I lived on the east side of New York on Henry Street with my grandmother in the basement apartment. Thank you, Henry Streeters. We lived in 2 rooms, and my grandmother kept an employment agency. The unemployed servant girls used to live in my house, and there was no place for me to play, and I'd say to my grandmother, "Grandma, where can I play?" She'd say, "Go play in the hall." If she knew it was Carnegie Hall where I was playing, and could see this crowd. You know, this could be dangerous. 400 people seated on the stage behind me. If you people up here paid the same money as those out front, I've only got one word to say: suckers. I think you've been cheated, and I'd like to give you back some of the money. Here's $1 for you, and $1 for you, and you, and you. But I do hope, when this show is over, you will have the common decency to return the money. My accountant tells me this is not deductible. Seated someplace in the audience is my school teacher from public school number 1, Catherine and Henry Streets. Her name is Miss Catherine Luddy, and I know this should be an exciting evening for her. And may I please say to Miss Luddy now, look, dear, there will be many grammatical errors. And would you please wait until after the show, Miss Luddy? All right? Tonight we're going to talk about show business. Show business that many of you know and knew, and I knew, and still know. But Irving Berlin summed it up so well when he wrote, "There's no business like show business, like no business I know. Everything about it is appealing, everything the traffic will allow. Nowhere can you get that happy feeling like when you're stealing that extra bow. There's no people like show people. They smile when they are low. Yesterday they told you you would not go far. That night you open and there you are. Next night on your dressing room they've hung a star. Let's go on with this show. There's no business like show business, like no business I know." Yes, there is no business like show business, as far as this minstrel is concerned. Day before yesterday, I celebrated 40 years as an entertainer, and I've enjoyed every single minute of it, every single second. Because where except in show business could I have met the great Ziegfeld? And where except in show business could I have played on the same stage with such immortals as Will Rogers and Bert Williams and W.C. Fields and Fanny Brice, Marilyn Miller, and oh, so many others. I first learned about the power of show business when I was a kid on the East Side, and an organization, the Educational Alliance, sent about 20 boys to the country for a summer vacation, a place called Surprise Lake Camp at Cold Spring, New York. And the first day in camp was a revelation. trees, grass. Never saw so much green before outside of a pool table. It was wonderful. And then on the bulletin board, they had a sign which read, "If you can entertain, sign your name here." And this ham was the first one in line. And that night at the campfire, I sang my very first song, and I was held over. Think of it, held over. Everyone else was there 2 weeks. I stayed 4. I knew then that the rest of my life would be devoted to show business. But where to start? How to start? I decided to play the saloon circuit. I'd walk into a saloon, any saloon, sing a half a dozen songs, and pass the hat. Except I had no hat. But I'd pass my cap. People in saloons those days were nice, warm, friendly folks. They were so friendly they kept the cap and the money. But I got even with them. In those days, you know, all saloons had free lunch. They got away with my cap. I got away with their free lunch. I remember, just as if it was today, I remember filling my blouse with herring. I was crazy about herring. Herring, East Side turkey. You could be blocks away, get one whiff, and know that somewhere in the vicinity was a marinated Jew. Then in Coney Island, I found a saloon, sawdust on the floor, a place called Kerry Walsh's. No passing the hat here, no stealing the free lunch, no siree. Here I got a regular salary plus tips. My job? Singing waiter, if you please. Some nights, singing as many as 70 or 80 songs. And my piano player? A guy with whom I fell completely in love, Jimmy Durante. A nose had been born and a man grew onto it. He was called Ragtime Jimmy then. Never talked, never sang, just played piano. And you know something? In those days, there was an unwritten law. No singing waiter would say to a customer, "Oh, I don't know that song." You'd be ostracized. No matter what it was, you just made them up. A fellow would say, "Hey, you, yeah, sing me Tuesday Night at Carnegie Hall." And you'd yell to the piano player, "Hey, Jimmy." He'd say, "Yeah, Tuesday Night at Carnegie Hall." He'd say, "Okay." So he gives you, he fakes a little vamp. And so you formulate some thoughts, and then you start to sing. Tuesday night, Carnegie Hall, my friends and I, having a ball. 2 pianos, no fiddle, standing up here in the middle, singing songs, telling jokes, getting a smile out of all of the folks. Gotta get going, better not stall. Tuesday night at Carnegie Hall. And then you'd walk over to the guy and he says, "This is Tuesday night at Carnegie Hall?" I said, "Well, there must be 2 of them, mister. That's the one we always do here." And then if he ever asked you for a title with which you could do nothing, you'd have to have 2 months off or something. You do it this way. He'd say, "Hey, kid, come here. Do you know standing outside of Lindy's looking at the windows at the gorgeous cheesecake inside?" "Oh, say, do I know?" "Hey, Jimmy, standing outside of Lindy's looking in the windows at the..." So you can't make it up. So get this, you sing the title to the guy's face. Then you walk around the tables with double talk and come around again for the title. You know, like this. Standing outside of Lindy's, looking in the windies at the gorgeous cheesecake inside. When you know you're not forgotten by the gorgeous. Standing outside of Lindy's, looking in the windies at the gorgeous cheesecake inside. Don't mind the bagel, gorgeous cheesecake inside. Jimmy played something, you sang something, and the guy really thought he heard something. And from that, you made a living. So there wouldn't be too much competition with the other singing waiters. We decided to pool our tips. We put them in a cigar box on a piano, Jimmy's piano. And at the end of the week for us was on a Monday, we'd split up about $125, 5 of us, $25 apiece. And the first week we started this Monday, Jimmy, tears streaming down his face. He wants to die. How could they do this? Somebody stole the money. Somebody stole the money out of the cigar box. $125. Jimmy, we'll make it up some way. Stop worrying. And fade out, fade in. Many years later, sitting in the hunting room in the Astor Hotel here in New York, I got a slap on my back. Jimmy Durante, he says, I'm looking all over for you. And he gave me $25. He's looking for the other waiters because, you see, Jimmy had taken the money. He gave it to his father, who sent for his brother from Italy. Gave him the whole $100. He was going around looking for the waiters. And Jimmy says, 2 of the guys croaked. What a break. What a break. You people who have heard Jimmy through the years know that he has a language all his own. The words he makes up, I know Webster must turn over in his grave and say, now why didn't I think of that one? For instance, Jimmy does all his traveling either by car or train. He will not fly. Recently, we were to play a benefit in San Francisco. I said, Jimmy, I don't suppose I can get you to go on a plane with me. He says, Eddie, I can answer that in the infirmary. I ain't flying. If Mother Nature wanted me to fly, she would have made me with feathers. The other day after a rehearsal, I was sitting in a drugstore having a sandwich, and Jimmy walked in. I said, James, sit down and have one of these triple-decker sandwiches. He said, I'm sorry, Eddie. I can't eat a triple-decker sandwich. My nose gets stuck in the second deck. Many years ago, Jimmy taught me a little Italian song which I sing even to this day. Singing this song always makes me think of Durante, and a person couldn't have a nicer thought. So here is Josephine, please no Lena on the bell. Josephine and Joe were so in love, oh so in love, so much in love. In the hall for hours they would stay. When Josephine came in, she'd hear her mother say, Josephina, please no Lena on the bell. When you mush, please no push the bell. I heard Mrs. Caruso telling Mrs. O'Flynn, somebody keeps ringing, but nobody comes in. You can squeeze all you please, that's all right. But don't keep us from sleep every night. When you kiss in the hall, stay away from the wall. Josephina, please no Lena on the bell. Or you come up from work and you wanted the supper, I'm cooking the nice macaron, and you make it sit down and you make it get up for your fella, he call on the phone. Or you go to the park and you sit in the dock, you make what they call it a pet. It's a lipstick here, it's a lipstick there. You know, get it from eating spaghetti. Or you say goodnight about 11 o'clock. It's what a good gal should do. But you take it too long when you say the goodnight. You don't finish till 2:30. Say, why you not bring your fella upstairs ravioli with peppers I cook? You can make it a love with a kiss and a hug and a mom and a pop. Then a look. Don't I bring you up and I make you fat with a soup and a pasta fazool? You stay up until late and I make you thin. What's the matter? You're making me fool? Why, you know, get married and raise you the fam, then I make you the promise I keep. I'll buy you the furniture and pay for your rent, and we all can get us some sleep. Josephina, please don't lean on the bell. When you mush, please no pushing the bell. You could have so much fun with that son of a gun. Josephina, please don't lean on the bell. It wasn't long after our days in Coney Island, 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 Coney Island. You know, Arthur Godfrey, Rudy Valley, Horace Heidt, Eddie Cantor, we think we are what Gus Edwards really was. He was the first Columbus of show business. He went out and sought talent, and he found them, and he did something about it. He took these kids and helped them. Kids like, well, Ray Bolger, and girls like Hildegard, and the Duncan sisters, and then Groucho Marx and Phil Silvers and Georgie Jessel. Georgie Jessel. Gus Edwards found Georgie at the Imperial Theater on 116th Street and Lenox Avenue, up in Harlem. He was part of a trio. The other two boys were Jackie Weiner, an agent, and one Walter Winchell. I wonder what became of Walter. The other two boys were fired a couple of days before, and I had a sign out in front of the Imperial Theater. It is worth 5 cents alone to hear Georgie Jessel sing. And 30 years later, Walter Winchell wrote, and it still goes. Fabulous guy, this Jessel. Oh, I knew him so well. You know, I knew him when he hated girls. And now look at him. One of the most married men in Hollywood. I've said many times about him, he's the only guy in Hollywood that walks around with a marriage license made out to him and to whom it may concern. Today, Jessel is never without his monocle. It is not an affectation. He actually uses it for reading. One day, he was having lunch at Romanoff's in Hollywood with Fred Allen. Jessel put the monocle in his eye to scan the menu, and Fred said, "What's the matter, Georgie? Doesn't the other eye eat?" In the old days with Gus Edwards, we did an act called The Kid Cabaret. It was spelled with 2 K's. Pretty classy, eh? Gee, there goes another K. We had 15 kids in the act. We didn't get a lot of money, but we got a lot of experience. And to make both ends meet, we tried to figure out ways and means of eating for free. We'd ingratiate ourselves with the people we'd meet on the road, people we hardly knew, in order to promote a gratis luncheon or dinner. I can recall the time we played at the Orpheum Theater in San Francisco. Jessel came into the dressing room excitedly and announced, "Eddie, our worries are over here. I just met a girl whose father owns a restaurant, and brother, are we going to eat?" And you know, something was right. For 2 weeks did we eat. But you can get pretty sick of that chow mein. Gus Edwards was good to us kids. He really was. He taught us how to get on and off a stage. how to get the most out of a song. He himself was one of the great songwriters of all time. Some of the kids in the, wait a minute, but first, one more thing about Jessel. There was a time when Georgie was very low, very low. He was married to a beautiful girl by the name of Norma Talmadge, and she left him. And he carried a torch like a 4-alarm fire. It was awful. Poor Jessel. Only one woman for me, and she's gone. Gone and left me. He was living at the Sherry Netherland Hotel here in New York, and things were not good. They really weren't. The management were dunning him for the bill. He was sick. His suit was not pressed. Things were just not good with Georgie. And he decided, ladies and gentlemen, he would commit suicide. So he took 3 or 4 drinks, bought a gun, penned a suicide note, and he called up George M. Cohan at the Plaza Hotel and read the note to George M. Cohan. Cohan said, "Georgie, I'm sure you can do better, kid. Bring it over and let's kick it around a little." So Jessel walked over to George M. Cohan with the suicide note, and Jessel said, "Where is it wrong? Where? And Cohan showed it. And he said, "Now, don't you want to get a little rhyming scheme in here, too?" So they fooled around, and the first thing you know, Cohan says, "Why, this is a great lyric, kid." So the next day, Jessel went to a publishing firm by the name of Jack Robbins. Now here's a man carrying a torch for Norma Talmadge all this time, you know. And he got a hold of a fellow who writes melodies, and they wrote a song with the lyrics from the suicide note. The theme of the note was, "You'll never remember, darling, all the things I can't forget." And you know something? He got $500 advance, went around the town, bumped into a girl, got stuck on her, married her, and that's how Lois Andrews became the 3rd Mrs. Georgie Jessel. Imagine, gets himself a wife, a hit song, and sells the suicide gun yet for $12.50, which he bought for $8, and made himself a clear profit of $4.50. What a break. Of course, in show business, there are people who are constantly getting good breaks. Now, there's a chap called Harry Axt who came to see me one time in Pittsburgh. I was playing there, and Axt was working for Irving Berlin, the music publisher, and he brought a Berlin song, and heaven forgive me, I didn't think it was good. I just did not think it was good. And I said to Harry Axt, "This is no song." He said, "Eddie, how can I go back to New York and tell Berlin you don't want to sing his song?" I said, "Harry, I'm not kidding myself. It is not good." So that night at the William Penn Hotel, we had a little delicatessen and some ginger ale and beer and things, and he sat noodling at the piano. He played something which I thought was awfully cute. Now this sounds like something. This I could do. Harry says, "You want to get me killed?" I go back and say to Irving Berlin, Cantor, he didn't want to. I said, "Look, I know Irving." So the next day I called up Berlin and told him about Harry Axt, and he says, "Well, by all means, Eddie. Of course you sing it. Sing it." So that night, we introduced Harry Axt to the audience. He got into the orchestra pit, played the piano, and I sang for the very first time, "Dinah, is there anyone finer in the state of liner. If there isn't, you know her. Come on a show to me or diner. With the Dixie eyes blazing, how I love to sit and gaze into the eyes of Dinah Lee. Every night, why do I shake with fright? Because my dynamite change her mind about me. Oh, Dinah, if she wanted to China, I would hop an ocean liner just to be with Miss Pretty Little Dinah Lee. It was a hit from the start.